UFC 320 was absolutely incredible. One of the best cards of the year, purely because Shama, we got it done. We defeated Big Ank. We knocked his bitch ass out, sending his ass back to Dagestan. We are back on top. We are taking on Tom Aspinall, and we will be triple champ. So, these are my reactions and who I think should be next for each of the fighters from UFC 320. So, what's next for Poatan? Obviously, the most clear and obvious answer, I think, is Carlos Ulberg. Carlos Ulberg knocked out Dominic Reyes like a week or two ago in the first round, and Carlos Ulberg has been building himself a really solid resume. I was kind of on him, especially after the Blachowicz fight. He didn't look the best out there against Jan, but most people don't look the best against, Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz is a really fucking good fighter. Alex Periera didn't look that good against Jan Blachowicz. A lot of people think that Jan arguably won. So I wasn't very hot on Ulberg until he killed Dominic Reyes in a single round. So Carlos Ulberg, I think, is the clear number one contender if we're going on matchmaking purely, because I think that Jiri has a better case for number one contender, but I don't know if we need to see the trilogy already. Speaking of Jiri and the trilogy, obviously that's an option. Jiri just defeated Khalil Roundtree, knocking him out in the third round, and an incredible performance. And it's clear. It's right there. It's a great storyline. Jiri was so excited to see Alex winning. Everybody's seen the reaction where Yuri's crying and seeing Alex win, which was just awesome. So, seeing this fight, I would not be opposed to it. I would be excited to see Alex versus Jiri 3. But there are matchups we haven't seen, and Alex dominated Jiri both fights. We haven't seen enough development from Jiri as a fighter to think that it would really be any different the third time. So if Alex versus Jiri 3 happened, I'm definitely leaning towards Alex. Same thing with Alex versus Ulberg. There's no way Carlos Ulberg beats Alex. Alex is a better striker, and they're both strikers. Clearly we just saw last night, Alex is the best striker in light heavyweight, and it's not close. So I think Alex would just piece up Ulberg, probably destroy him in a round or two. And, we've seen Alex versus Jiri twice. I don't necessarily think we need to see it a third time, but I wouldn't be opposed to watching it. I would be happy to watch it. Next up, we've got the trilogy. I don't think this shit's going to happen. I don't want to see this happen. Magomed Ankalaev, I thought, lost the first fight. I genuinely thought he lost the first fight. You can go back to my other videos on my alternate channels. And I clearly was team Alex. I thought that Ankalaev didn't do enough to get the win. I thought Alex did more damage. And I thought he won rounds 1. I believe it was 4. No. 4 was Ankalaev's for sure. It might have been 1, 3, and 5. 1 and 5 for sure. And I can't remember if it was 2 or round 3 that Ankalaev had a really solid round. Regardless, I thought Alex won the fight. I thought he won 3 of the rounds. Ankalaev didn't even do anything with the grappling in the first fight. It was just stalling, and you shouldn't count that. So, nobody likes Ankalaev. Uncle Dana definitely doesn't like Ankalaev. We do not like Ankalaev. Nobody wants to see this fight. And I don't know. We don't need to see it. Clearly, Alex is the better fighter. He killed Ankalaev in under 90 seconds. We don't need to see it happen again, especially so fast. Let Ankalaev do his thing. I don't know. Really, I think Ankalaev is kind of frozen out of the title picture. They could do a trilogy. That is on the board, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. But this is not all that we can do for Alex. There is one other fight. Tom Aspinall. We are moving up to the heavyweight division, and we are taking on Tom Aspinall. We will destroy Tom Aspinall and knock his ass out in 2 rounds. This is the fight everyone needs to see. This should headline UFC White House. This should be the headliner for the biggest card of all time with the biggest fight of all time. We need to see Tom Aspinall versus Alex Periera. I'd be okay with seeing Ulberg in the meantime, just to see it, just so we can have Alex Periera fight again, because I think Periera will probably want to be very active. But we must see Periera versus Aspinall. If they're going to shelve Periera and put him on ice until the White House card, this is what needs to happen. Periera versus Aspinall is the biggest fight of all time. Moving on. What's next for the Merab? Honestly, there's not much. Merab just dominated Cory. I thought that he was going to knock out Cory in the second round. Everybody thought that Cory was about to get finished, and it was going to be one of those moments where it's like, damn, bro, you just got knocked out by Merab. Like, what the fuck do? You wake up in the hospital and you're told that... I'm stealing Bedtime MMA's joke right here because this is exactly what he said. But no, that ass was like that. Like, imagine being knocked out by Merab. Like, that is one of the most embarrassing things that could happen. But thankfully, Cory survived. And, you know, very boring, very dominant decision. The usual from Merab. You know, Cory took round one, and it kind of looked like it was going to go his way. And then it didn't. And Merab just did his thing for 4 straight rounds. But that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. I thought Cory looked better against Merab than a lot of the other guys, but nobody looks good against Merab. Everybody looks horrible against him. Merab's head is just filled with concrete, and he's just on go mode at all times. Okay. Moving on. What the fuck? Sorry, I just got a text from someone that I haven't heard from in a little bit. But what's next for the Merab? Honestly, the winner of Umar versus Mario Batista, that's the only thing that kind of makes sense in terms of, like, anybody having a chance. If Mario Batista somehow wins, then obviously he gets the next title shot. I think that makes the most sense. It's a fresh matchup. We haven't seen that. And, like, Umar was the most competitive fight, but Umar hasn't done anything since losing to Merab. I would like to see Umar kind of go on a streak before getting another title shot, but that's just simply not how the UFC works anymore. So, more than likely, the winner of this fight probably gets the next title shot. Or Petr Yan, because Petr Yan beat Marcus McGee. He's on a nice, I want to say 4 or 5 win streak, and he's been looking really good in all those fights. You know, Petr Yan got dominated by Merab in their first fight, and it was embarrassing. It's Petr Yan's worst performance, but I don't know. I don't think Petr Yan stands any chance against Merab, but I guess that is an option. And honestly, I think this is the best option. Have Merab move up to fight Volk, because there's no real great #1 contenders in featherweight. Everybody has an asterisk next to their name. Lerone Murphy, nobody really cares about him. And his best win is against Aaron Pico, a guy who made his UFC debut. That's not really the best resume. Jean Silva just got knocked out by Diego Lopez. And Diego Lopez just lost to Volk earlier this year. So neither of them are in contention. It's been forever since we've seen, what's his name? The fucking Dagestani guy. The guy who married his, I don't remember if it was his cousin or if it was just a 14-year-old. But regardless, what the hell is his name? Mavzar. Yeah, I don't think Mavzar really has that much of a case either, because Mavzar hasn't fought anyone since Aljo. And that's been, I don't even know how long at this point. So I don't think Mavzar really has a good case. Yair definitely doesn't have a good case. Yair should have been the one fighting Diego Lopez, but... you know, hopefully they can make that fight next. There really isn't anybody great for Volk to fight, and there isn't anybody great for Merab to fight. Put them against each other. I think this is arguably the best matchup. I don't think Merab is going to chin Volk, and I think it's the most stylistically interesting matchup, because Volk has extremely good takedown defense, and he's a really good defensive grappler, as well as offensive grappler. So, and Volk is bigger than Merab, so, and stronger. So it would be, I think, a very stylistically interesting matchup to see. And just in terms of, like, their divisions, there is nobody else for them to fight except for each other at this point. And I think we should make that super fight happen. That should happen early next year. Probably like the January card. I think that would be an incredible fight. Moving on. What's next for Jiri? Jiri is a tough one, because Yuri's in a real awkward spot. Honestly, I don't want to see the trilogy immediately. I don't want to see him take on Alex Periera, but he is, in my opinion, the clearest #1 contender in the division. I think that he is the #2 guy right behind Alex, and there's a pretty far gap between him and Ankalaev. And, there's not really a single good matchup to do for Yuri. Yuri's in a really tough spot career-wise. So obviously you can do the trilogy with Alex. I don't think Yuri wins it, though. I think that it would kill all of the momentum and hype that Yuri has, and I don't know, freeze his career in an even weirder state. I think that Yuri turns into light heavyweight Max Holloway in like the worst possible ways. Because at least Max had like a title reign before losing to Volk. Max had several defenses. Yuri didn't. He got injured, he didn't have to, but he relinquished the belt out of honor, came back, got his title shot against Alex, and has been frozen out since. I think he's the clearest number one contender, but putting him up against Alex is just lamb to the slaughter. There's no reason to do that. But since Big Ank has lost, and Big Ank is out of the title picture, I think Big Ank versus Yuri is probably the most interesting fight. Both of them are in a really weird spot. Neither of them, I think, are getting a title shot anytime soon, unless Alex moves up to heavyweight and they do this for an interim title. I really don't see what else you could do for either of these guys except just put them up against each other. I think Yuri and Ankalaev are the clearest 1 and 2 guys, and nobody else is there with them. And both of them just lost to Alex. Both of them got knocked the fuck out by Alex at that. So I don't think that Yuri necessarily should get the next title shot, and I don't think Big Ank should get a title shot either. Why not just put them up against each other? So what's next for Little Ank? Suicide. Honestly, I don't fucking know. Probably Yuri, like I was just saying, but I don't know. Big Ank is in a weird spot. I think the only real fight for him is Yuri, truly. Moving on. Who's next for Cory? I think Song Yadong would be a great fight for Cory. I know there's been rumors about Song Yadong versus O'Malley, and that would be a really good fight. And I think if that fight does happen, the winner of that should get Cory. But if it doesn't happen, why not just do Cory versus Song Yadong? I think it would be a good scrap. Song Yadong is really good on the feet, but he does mix it up, and as does Cory. So I think it would be a really stylistically interesting fight. I think Song Yadong is always game to scrap, and Cory is always game to just be out there overthinking things. So I don't know. I think that's an interesting fight. I don't think there's much more to it than both of these guys are, I don't know, clearly not going to beat Merab, so might as well just have them fight each other. We could do Mario Batista if Mario Batista loses to Umar. I think if Mario loses to Umar, he's not going to get the title shot. But if he does beat Umar, sure, fuck it. Let Mario Batista get a title shot. Let him get butt-fucked by Merab for 5 straight rounds. Let him just get, pressed against the canvas and have Merab press his pelvis up against his. But if what's his name loses to Umar, I think that fuck it, put him up against Cory. There's not really much else for Mario Batista in terms of matchups. They're not gonna have him fight O'Malley. They fight at the same gym. Tim Welch is both of their coaches. They're boys. They're not gonna fight against each other. And I think Batista's kind of in this weird spot where I think he's better than his ranking, but he hasn't fought anybody good enough to prove that at this point. Like, he just fought Patchy Mix and dominated him, but clearly Patchy Mix sucks. So, I don't know. This is a weird one. Mario Batista versus Umar. If Mario Batista loses, put him up against Cory. But, obviously, there is one fight that is clearly better than the rest, and there's no better time to do it. Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Cory Sandhagen. Both of them are at the lowest points in their career. Cory almost got finished by Merab, and Sean did get finished by Merab. All of them have lost all of their hype. Neither of them are getting a title shot anytime soon, especially Sean. Sean is not coming back to fight Merab ever, I think. And if they do it, it'll be in years. And at that point, I think Merab will have just lost his belt due to age and, regression and whatnot. But there is no time like the present to put Sugar Sean O'Malley up against Cory Sandman. This is the fight to make. This would be a banger fight. Make it a main event. Have it headline some fight night. 5 rounds. incredible. Or have it be a co-main event of a pay-per-view and have it be 5 rounds. We need to see this. We need it 5 rounds. Cory Sandhagen versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. Do it now, Dana. Moving on. What's next for Patchy Mix? DoorDash. Get the fuck out of the UFC, man. They're going to give him one more shot. They're going to put him up against, I don't know, probably someone like a really hot bantamweight prospect, like a Peyton Talbot or like a whatever. What's the other guy's name? Malcolm Wellmaker. They'll probably have him Peyton Talbot or Malcolm Wellmaker as a do or die, and if he loses that fight, they'll cut him from the UFC. Or they might just cut him now for losing to Yakub. Like this is fucking horrible. This is the worst acquisition the UFC has probably ever done. Patchy Mix came in super hyped, fucking sucked. Horrible. Not a good fighter. Moving on. What's next for Khalil? Khalil was up. Khalil was winning the fight until he wasn't. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. I thought Khalil was going to be up winning the fight until he gets caught. And it's clear to me that Khalil, anytime there is like a moment of extreme adversity, that's it. Khalil's done. He's out of the fight. It's over. He's an entertaining fighter. He's got a great style. He pieced up Jamal Hill, but I don't think Khalil's got it. I don't think we're going to be seeing Khalil Roundtree in title contentions probably ever again. But I think there's still plenty of really interesting and really fun fights to make for Khalil, which are Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes just got destroyed by Carlos Ulberg like a week or 2 ago. Both of them are going to be on a very similar timetable. They took just about the same amount of damage. They both got knocked out. I don't know, 6-7 months. 6-7. Put them up against each other. Have it be a co-main event of a fight night, or have it be a fight night main event. I don't know. That would be a great fight. And I really don't know what else to do with either of these guys' careers besides just fuck it. Put them up against each other. Moving on. What's next for Officer Joe Pyfer? What are we doing for Joe Pyfer? 10-4. I think that there are quite a few options. I think Abus Magomedov is not good. I do not think Abus is good at all. And the fact that they de-ranked him right before this fight is so funny to me. So since Abus wasn't even ranked, I think, fuck it, why not give Joe Pyfer an actual ranking or have him fight for a ranking against RoboCop? I think if Joe Pyfer we got Obama versus police brutality. This is a fucking banger-ass fight. Tell me it would not be. My fellow Americans, we are defeating Officer Joe Pyfer, 10-4. And Officer Joe Pyfer, I don't know, turns off the body cam. Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Do, 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 do. And just mag dumps into Obama. I think this is an incredible fight. I think that this would be a really good on-the-feet fight. And I think that we're going to see a knockout for sure. I don't think this goes the distance. I think that this is going to be a knockout. And I'm leaning towards Joe Pyfer, to be honest. But I could definitely see Gregory Rodriguez winning this. He just doesn't have that good of a chin. Moving on, we got Ikram Aliskerov. Ikram, I think, is the current rank 15 guy. Ikram sucks. I don't think he's good. I think Ikram and Abus are the exact same type of fighter. They suck. They have fucking white Muslim privilege. And the only reason that they're ranked or even hovering around the rankings is because their name ends in OV. Otherwise, they wouldn't be getting any fights like this. So, fuck it. Let Officer Joe Pyfer murder this white Muslim and take his ranking. Or have him fight Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori's really not been having it. Marvin Vettori's been he's been falling off kind of hard recently. And he's got the chin of all time. So Joe Pyfer has one of the hardest hitting punches of all time versus the chin of all time. Dude, unstoppable object versus immovable force, or however the fucking phrase is said. Unstoppable force versus immovable object. You know what I mean. But no, this would be an incredible fight. I think that, I don't know. I genuinely would have no idea who wins this fight. An uncrackable chin versus the hardest hitting 185er. So I think that would be an incredible matchup, and whoever wins gets a ranking between any of these. But I don't think we should be shooting Joe Pyfer up the rankings. I don't think Abus is very good, and that wasn't the most impressive performance from Joe Pyfer, especially after the Kelvin Fastolin performance. So I think still steady, just a slow but steady increase in competition. Moving on, what's next for Youssef Zalal? Youssef Zalal, that was a crazy performance. I was watching it with a couple buddies, and we all looked over at each other like, what the fuck just happened? Like, who even won that exchange? Because it was so hard to see due to the camera angle and just due to the type of armbar that it was. We had no idea what happened. We also couldn't hear the verbal tap because it just, I don't know. The broadcast, it wasn't loud enough, so that was a really weird finish. But hey, Youssef Zalal managed to submit Josh Emmett in the first round, and I think he deserves a bump up in competition. So I think the Lerone Murphy call out was pretty good. I think Lerone Murphy probably isn't going to get a title shot off of the Aaron Picto fight. You know, the knockout was crazy, but no one cares about Lerone Murphy, and that just wasn't enough to add to the resume. They might do it. I wouldn't be opposed to Lerone Murphy versus Volk, but who cares? So if they're not going to do Lerone Murphy versus Volk, I think that Youssef Zalal versus Lerone Murphy is a great fight to make. Youssef Zalal beat Josh Emmett a lot easier and a lot better than Lerone did. Fuck it. Put them up against each other. We could do that. Or it's been forever since we've seen Arnold Allen. Get his ass back in the cage. Arnold Allen versus Youssef Zalal. I think that's a really interesting fight. I'm leaning towards Arnold Allen on this one just because he's an extremely well-rounded fighter. But I don't know. I think this would be a very interesting fight. I think both of these guys are game. Both of them are real scrappers. And I don't know. Arnold Allen is in a really weird spot. He hasn't fought in like a year and a half. Fuck it. Have him come back against Youssef Zalal. Moving on. What's next for Josh Emmett? Shit, dude. Fuck. I don't know. Jean Silva? I think Jean Silva should be fighting a rank higher than his, but not that much higher. Josh Emmett's probably going to be ranked 9. Fucking Jean Silva's probably rank 10. I don't know. Just do Jean Silva versus Josh Emmett. I think that's a pretty decent fight. If Jean Silva can chin Josh Emmett, then okay, we have him up another bump up in competition. But if not, then it's clear where Jean Silva is at in terms of his skill level. Or I don't know. Patricio Pitbull. Pitbull, they're probably going to want him fighting up the rankings because he beat, what's his name that I can't remember off the top of my head. The guy who looks exactly like him. Same day Dan Ige, that's who. Yeah, so since Pitbull beat Dan Ige, they're probably going to want him fighting up the rankings. Josh Emmett's probably going to be fighting down the rankings, but not that much farther down the rankings. I don't know. This makes a lot of sense to me. Patricio Pitbull versus Josh Emmett, or Jean Silva versus Josh Emmett. Both of those guys, I think, should be fighting up. I think Josh Emmett should be fighting down. I don't know. Makes the most sense to me. Moving on. What's next for Ateba Gautier? This was one of the weirdest fights. So, Ateba Gautier's opponent was just running away from him the entire time. And Ateba didn't even land a clean shot on him. He, grazed him. The guy kind of fell over himself. And then, the follow-up shots, none of those landed clean. But he wasn't doing anything to defend himself. The other guy was clearly just, fucking terrified of Ateba Gautier. He lost the fight before stepping in the ring. He was mentally defeated before ever walking in the octagon. That was bound to happen. Ateba Gautier didn't even land clean. Not a single clean land, but still knocked him out in, I don't know, under 2 minutes. So what a weird fight. I think Ateba Gautier is a real legit middleweight prospect. I think that he's got crazy power, but I don't think we should be shooting him up the rankings and fighting against someone ranked yet. The guy that he fought against was a last-minute replacement. who would beat nobody in his career. So I think a Teba Gautier versus someone like Roman Kopylov, just sitting outside the rankings, but is stylistically interesting. Both of these guys are strikers. Kopylov turned into a grappler against what's-his-name, but Kopylov is not a grappler. Kopylov is a striker. And if a Teba Gautier is as good as I think he is, I think he can knock out Kopylov. I don't think Kopylov is good at all. And I think a Teba Gautier is legit. But I don't want to put him up against someone who's ranked yet. I think having him fight someone just outside the rankings like Kopylov, and Kopylov is a really interesting striker, I think this would be a great fight stylistically. And it's a big jump up, but not too big of a jump up. Or an even smaller jump up that's just outside the rankings, have him fight GM3. Even though GM3 is much more of a grappler and we haven't seen Gautier fight against grapplers, that's exactly why I think we should do it. GM3 is clearly on a decline, but he's still not, I don't know, I wouldn't call him like super washed or anything. Like I would say that he's still in the probably 30-ish ranks, you know, probably somewhere ranked between like 20 and 30, but definitely not top 15 in the UFC. And I think having a Teba Gautier fight against a grappler that's ranked that high would be a really big test and a huge step up for him. Or we have him fight against Bo Nickal. This is the fight we need to see. A Teba Gautier murders Bo Nickal in the octagon. If Bo Nickal can get past this, fine. You're allowed back in the club. We'll put you up on the next fucking pay-per-view. You can continue your Dana White privilege. But if you can't get past the Teba Gautier, you are banished from the UFC. Go back to wrestling. Go compete in your grappling matches. Get the fuck out of here, Bo Nickal. The biggest UFC industry plant. Put his ass up against the Teba Gautier. It's do or die, Bo Nickal. That's what we need to see. That is the fight to make. A Teba Gautier versus Bo Nickal. And they're stylistic opposites. If Bo Nickal is actually tough, he can take a punch from a Teba Gautier. If he's not, get him the fuck out of the UFC. And I think that's the clearest thing. And if a Teba Gautier can survive Bo Nickal's wrestling, I think it's clear we give him a ranked fighter. Moving on. What's next for Yakub? What is next for Yakub? I don't know. What's Ronnie Barcelos? Really, I have no sense of, I don't know, relativity for how good Yakub is, because I have no sense of relativity for how good Patchy Mix is. Patchy Mix is not good, clearly, but maybe Yakub is not good. I don't know. Maybe Yakub is really good, and Patchy Mix might be kind of good. I don't know. We shall see. I think having him up against someone just outside of the bantamweight rankings, like Ronnie Barcelos, that's just a crafty vet. I think that's a great fight to make. I think it's a real good test for Yakub. And Ronnie Barcelos has kind of been the prospect killer lately. So, I don't know. Feed him another prospect. Or Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt's washed as fuck. It would build Yakub's resume. It would make Yakub a name that people actually care more about than just, you know, the guy that beat Patchy Mix. And now we kind of know him, but not really, because nobody cares about Patchy Mix. This would be a solid-ish test for on the feet, I think. Yeah, fuck it. Why not do Cody Garbrandt? It would really build up the resume of Yakub, and if Cody Garbrandt can beat Yakub, then, I don't know. Good for Cody. Shit, that's the end of the video, I guess. I thought I had more. But no, I guess those are my thoughts on who should be fighting who next for UFC. UFC 320 was an incredible card. We beat Magomed Ankalaev. We got our belt back. And we should be taking on Tom Aspinall at the White House card for the biggest UFC event of all time. This is exactly what needs to be done. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below if you think these are good matchups. And if you think that I'm the new GOAT, I'm the new king of UFC matchmaking. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Goodbye.